Tennessee seems to be trending in the right direction with Nico Iamaleava. Seems like to be the exact opposite in Columbus, John, where Will Howard has struggled or recently struggled against Michigan. He's about a 57% completion percentage. I know you can get away with a lower completion percentage in the Big Ten, but in the SEC. But this to me is troubling. I don't think Will Howard's very good. Maybe the difference in the two programs and where they stand right now is play at quarterback.
Well, I think Will Howard is a better than average college quarterback. I don't think he's an elite quarterback. I don't think he's the quarterback you think can lead you to a national championship. And I think that's where Ohio State will come. Forget the Tennessee game. This is just one game in the path to a national title. I'm not sure if Will Howard has what it takes to get it there. But you could say that about some of these other quarterbacks in the playoff, too. He's not the only one. There's some negatives going along with other quarterbacks in the playoffs. It's really, this is the most intriguing aspect of the game to me, is what will Nico do? I'm just not sure. I thought he played his best game against Vanderbilt. And that's significant because this wasn't a typical Vanderbilt team. It was a 500 team, but a team that played very well against a lot of good teams. So I give Nico a lot of credit for that. I think his confidence is at a high level now, and I think that's a big factor. It's so much different than it was, say, after the Oklahoma game in Norman. I think Tennessee's offensive line is playing better than it was at parts of the season. So I think the key is, can Nico make the big plays? Now, that's not just on him. He needs help in that regard. He needs a receiver to make a play too. But can Nico make some big plays? I still think he has more potential to me to make a big play than Will Howard does.
Yep, I would agree with that. I want to spin this on Caleb. I do remind everybody that this is Last Look, brought to you by Doctors Campbell, Cunningham, Taylor, and Hahn. Caleb will have the follow to that. Look at me, no contacts, no glasses. Thanks to Doctors Campbell, Cunningham, Taylor, and Hahn.
The first step to better vision is to visit ccteyes.com. The information you need is easy to access, and setting an appointment is as simple as clicking the tab. Doctors Campbell, Cunningham, Taylor, and Hahn, and Eye Care Optical at ccteyes.com.
All right, Caleb, what do you got?
All right, so John, speaking of that, and I agree that Nico played his best game against Vanderbilt. I'm still hazy on whether or not he was just peaking at the right time, or Tennessee, while having improved, did just get a good break with two very easy teams to close out the year. Because I get what you say about Vanderbilt, but they were banged up in that game. What do you make of the fact, though, that Will Howard, I get the Michigan game, but in Ohio State's 3 games against ranked teams, Oregon, Penn State, Indiana, all playoff teams, 2 of them he did complete over 80% of his passes. And it wasn't, I mean, that Oregon loss wasn't really his fault, was it? He played really well in that Oregon game.
No, he did. He did. I think, though, of those defenses, Tennessee's defensive front, they have a great track record, Georgia game aside, of really handling quarterbacks and making life miserable for quarterbacks. I think Will Howard's going to want to run more in this game. And you pay a quarterback pays a big price when he runs against Tennessee. Tennessee, to me, is one of the hardest hitting teams I've seen this year.
Yep.
And you can look at all the quarterbacks that have fallen by the wayside, quarterbacks who couldn't finish what they started when playing Tennessee. So I'm not as down on Will Howard as Dave is. I think he's pretty good.
Here's what I think of Ohio State. I think they've got a little run, kind of like Tennessee did, of elite receiver play. And I'm talking about Tennessee back in the 80s and 90s, a little bit before my time. But I think it makes their quarterback look a lot better. No offense, Andy Kelly. But I think that right now you've got a situation in Ohio State there where you've had a couple of – I just don't think Will Howard's – I think I've got him about like you. I mean, you said you had him, what,
pretty good college quarterback.
Yeah.
He's
25-30 in the nation?
Huh?
25-30 in the nation?
Top 40.
Top 40 in the nation, Caleb?
Yeah.
Can we settle on top 40 in the nation?
Will Howard?
Yes.
Will Howard?
Yes.
I'd go
Are you
top
paying
40.
attention?
I'd go top 40. I'd go top 40. Why would I not be paying attention?
I don't know. Just checking on you.
Well, everybody zones out every now and then, Dave. So don't be critical of Caleb.
Well,
Don't tell me that. Tell Caleb.
See, here's the thing, though. It's not like Ohio State. We agree their receiving core is nowhere near what it was a couple of years ago or even last year, right? It's a significant drop off from what they had last year when they had Marvin Harrison Jr. and all those guys that all went to the NFL.
Well, yeah, but I think they've got guys now that still gain separation and they're still really, really good.
Yeah. Well, they're good. Yeah. The freshman's great.
Yeah. So I just putting all this together, I'd have to say that Will Howard, I still say Ohio State has the quarterback advantage as of right now because I haven't really seen Nico do anything impressive against a good team. Now, he did have a good second half against Alabama. I thought Alabama played a very simple coverage against Nico in the second half of that game. They played one-on-one tight man on the outside, and Nico just threw it over the top and had Dante Thornton a few times. It kind of reminded me of you guys remember that playoff game where Tim Tebow had 300 yards against the Steelers, and everybody's like, "Oh, that was so great." It's like, yeah, the Steelers just played like tight man coverage and had no safety the whole game, so it was a bunch of easy throws for him to make. I thought that's what Alabama did to Nico, but in the second half. But
I could just shut down the camera and get going with you two and Tim Tebow. John's a big Tim Tebow guy. You guys will just roll. You guys will take care.
Yeah, I mean,
I thought it was a great.
Go ahead and trash somebody else. Go ahead.
No, I thought he was a great college quarterback, and I thought if today's offenses were being used that are running the NFL were used now, he'd actually be pretty good. But at that time, he wasn't going to be a fit for a pro style offense the way they tried to make him in Denver. But I guess the point I'm saying is with Nico, I still haven't seen him do anything significant against a good team. Whereas I have seen Will Howard play well against one team I know to be good in Oregon and one team that's at least good enough to make the college football playoff in Indiana, whatever you think about them during that time.
What's Nico's best win from a quarterback standpoint?
His best game or his best win?
Best win.
Well, Alabama. But I don't think he was that impressive against Alabama. Did y'all think he was that impressive?
That's what I'm asking. From a quarterback.
Who was better in that? Excuse me, Dave. Who was better in that game? Jalen Milroe or Nico Iamaleava?
That's not saying much. I think Jalen Milroe, I said from the start of the year he was not a fit for Kalen DeBoer's offense. And I mean, he may not be a fit for any offense anyway, but Nico was better. But that was more like Jalen Milroe was significantly worse.
But Caleb, he's had a really good career overall.
Yeah, but he was horrible against Tennessee. You act like Jalen Milroe played great against Tennessee. He was horrible. I didn't
think who was better in that game. The
Nico
defense
by default.
Okay. Well,
who was better, Nico against Alabama or Will Howard against Oregon?
Will Howard against Oregon. Okay. Look at it this way. Would you, if you were a quarterback, would you rather go against Tennessee's defense or Ohio State's defense?
Okay, I think that's a very interesting one.
Because that's actually that's a good talking point because that's a good transition. But I'll just close it out first I would think I would rather go against Ohio State's defense if I'm a quarterback, and I'll give you that.
You know what I would do, John? I would probably throw this game to help my seeding in the next round.
You can't do that in the playoff, guys.
Oh.